the Philips website, you'll find I2C specification. The detailed protocol is there. You can, in serial data, you can do lots of things. You know, NXP serial, actually NXP is same as Philips. So they have the NXP bus I2C. You can see in the Google, Wikipedia, everywhere it is there. NXP.com. So let's try to understand this. So this is what you can see. So from this you will see there is something called a CAN bus. From this it is there, control area network. There is no master here, but here there is a master, and you can see the serial clock. So this device 1, device 2, device 3, like that. So they are how it is grounded. You can see how this clock line is coming. You can send data. You can also, in the same line, you can get the data. You can also send the data. Serial out, serial in, as you can see here. Let me enlarge a little bit. So this is your serial in, serial out. So you can have the serial and the serial. This is the serial clock. Serial clock out, serial clock in, and this is connected to the data. You can data out, data in. So this is device 1, device 2, like that. You can have multiple devices which can be connected, and they are all pulled up to VDD. That means whenever there is no data, all will be high. That means this will be 1, this will be also 1. When there is neither data nor clock. So they are opened and transfer pull lines down to ground. Master. Yes.
Why there are 2 wires for the clock, serial clock in and clock out?
No. This becomes master. This will give a clock out. That means it will send a clock.
Okay, so it's for the master slave arrangement.
Yes, it is for master slave. You can make anyone master and anyone slave. Okay. Thank you for the question. So the message, you can have lots of protocols. Just sending data by this hardware doesn't matter. That means there has to be a protocol, there has to be a rule what this data means for. That means you can also have a programming. You can control, you can program also by serial lines. So how to do that? So let's look at the message format. So all the serial communication has got some message format. Just like you saw in SPI, there is a message format when you want to communicate with the flash card, which you are supposed to do as a homework. So the assignment. So here also there is a message format. So the I2C message format looks like this. There is a serial clock and there are data. Data is first preceded by address. So whenever the clock is starting, the first few bits, 8 bits or 7 bits will be the address. So this is slave address. So when the master starts communicating, it will first find out the slave, first send out the slave address. So there is 87 to 81. Then comes the read and write, the 7-bit address, and there is read or write, whether it is high or low. Then acknowledgement bit. Then it will expect an acknowledgement from the slave. Then goes to the data bytes. So then stop signal. So this is how the start condition, message oriented data transfer with 4 parts. This is the start condition here. Start the signal. Then comes slave address transition address. Then command read or write. Then acknowledgement at the receiver. So this is an incoming signal. So it will stay, then wait whether the acknowledgement is coming or not. Then comes the data fields, then data byte, then acknowledged by the receiver. So these two are there, then the stop condition. So this is the total message flow, which is divided into 4 parts. So you have to follow this protocol for both the master and slave device for I2C communication. So when master writing to the slave, so it looks like this. These signals will be from the master, these signals will be from the slave. So master writing to the slave. So this is a start condition, slave address, write, then get the acknowledgement from the slave, then goes to the data, then again get the acknowledgement from the slave, again data, like that it keeps on going. So if there is no acknowledgement, so it will get a stop condition P. So this is how master writing to the data, what should the data to the slave. Okay. Then the second is master reading from the slave. So master reading from the slave, that means again start condition, master will send the slave address, this will become read high, then get the acknowledgement and wait for the data. Then again it will give the acknowledgement, this master will give the acknowledgement and then get the data like that. So once there is a no acknowledgement, it will stop. So this is how master reading data from the slave. So this was master writing data to the slave, this is master reading data from the slave. Then comes I2C with register address. That means you can also send addresses, and then that means the slave has got multiple addresses, not one address. That means you are selecting a slave with multiple addresses. In that case, you can do it, a master and slave which is having multiple addresses, this can be the protocol. The protocol is send start condition address of slave, read write command. Then listens to the acknowledgement from slave, then sends the register address. That means the following will be with register addressing. It will send the register address, then listens to the acknowledgement from the slave, again writes. This is called register addressing. Okay. That means the slave or master having so you can have single byte write, multiple byte write, single byte read, multiple byte read. There are 4 things. This is single byte write, multiple byte write, single byte read, multiple byte read. Everything is possible by addressing, by programming the I2C. That's what you have got this I2C here. Let me show you that I2C. The two-wire interface. I2C in this case is a two-wire interface. TWI. This is the page number, you can see. This is the TWI, two-wire in serial interface. What is the page number? Page number 173. This is the two-wire interface. This is your Atmega 328. Master and slave operation supported. So this is SDA SCL. So you go through this. The data from frame format, how to transfer bits. So address packet format, you just told about that. Okay. Multiple masters, SCL SDA pins using TI. So there is result. So everything is there here. You have to get it. Okay, so this is masters drive the communication, send start condition. Address of the slave, read write command, listens to acknowledgement, then sends the register byte. This is for the acknowledgement of the slave. So each device IC has 7-bit address. Different types of device have different default address. Sometimes can select secondary. What it? Okay, so now you have certain automotive things. Let me tell you. So there is something called drive-by-wire technology. Drive-by-wire. Nowadays you find, many vehicles do not have really clutch. So it is all wired. So I think it is controlled. So all are electronic clutches, electronic gears, automatic. So these are called drive-by-wire technology. So the steering is, also drive-by-wire. So though it is there, but actually you don't have to give any effort. It automatically does by drive-by-wire technology. So this is about I2C. Okay. Now let's get into the CAN bus. Any questions here?
Hello.
Stop sharing. Let me stop sharing, then I can share. Otherwise. So this document I am going to share with you, but you take small notes. So but fortunately you get this document from TI, so I am going to share with you this document so you can have a better. So this is the CAN bus protocol. Let me share with you otherwise. Can you see this? So this document I have taken directly from Texas. I am going to teach on this. Okay, TI website. Okay, so you can see this. See my document on the screen. Shivans Tomar. Can you see this document?
Yes, sir.
Video कहाँ है? Video on करो. So did you yesterday? Did you don't record it? Actually, I'll give you all these documents. Don't have to record. Okay, Shivans Tomar. So did you give your demo yesterday on the SPWM? Could you give your demo, Shivans, yesterday? Hello, could you give your demo yesterday? Shivans Tomar, तुम्हारा क्या है? तू सुनाई नहीं देता है क्या? Anyway, बंद करो video. So the CAN has this protocol. The standard, the architecture of CAN looks like this. So CAN is just a couple of wires, just one wire and the other wire. So you can see the CAN controller. There is a CAN bus line. There are two lines here, as you can see here. Let me just ये जो है, this CAN bus line is are just two words, right? Just two lines. अरे I'm not able to do it. क्या है बार-बार ऐसी? So this is the CAN controller, then the DSP. Then there are lots of other things like application layer. There is a data link layer and there is a physical layer. So this is how CAN operates. So the application which you are doing, for example, it's mostly in automotive applications CAN is used. It is in automotive applications. Okay. So it has got few layers. For example, the application protocol runs on the DSP or microcontroller. Like ECUs, we call them ECUs, electronic control units. Okay. ये नया PDF दे दिया, मैं उसमें लिख नहीं पाता. I don't know how to write. उसको बुला. I don't know how to write it. लिख नहीं पा रहा इसमें. So then you have a data link layer where there is a controller which is a logic control. That means you are going to access the CAN bus and there will be addressing, there will be framing. So in a serial communication, remember, since that bit by bit you are sending serial data, there are certain control like address has to be there, then there will be error correction codes, then the data. So then different kinds of data will be there, like there may be commands also. So this is done by this logic link control and medium access. Then comes the physical signaling. Physical signaling had got certain modes like it is plus minus 5 volt, etc. Then is the medium dependent interface. So this is the whole CAN protocol. So one is the data link layer, one is the application layer. Application layer is basically blind. You don't know. You are writing the application for CAN, but this logic link layer and medium access layer take care of it. And the physical signaling, so you don't have, you are basically blind about it. But those who design CAN bus controller, they should worry about the embedded CAN controller. So this is, so how the CAN standards are there, you can have a look at here. The CAN standards are, this is called, there is a standard CAN and there is an extended CAN. How to write here?
comment.
Comment? Drawing.
Drawing pencil.
Pencil. Thank you, thank you. I got it. So there is this, this is the standard can. The standard can. So you can see there is a start on frame, then there is a 11-bit identifier. Then there is a remote transmission request, RTR bit. Then there is a identifier extension, ID. Then there is a reserve bit. Then there is a data length code. Then the number of data points. Then there is cyclic redundancy check, that is error correction. Then there is an acknowledge. Then end of file. Then end of frame. Then the finally is the interframe space. So this is the standard CAN with 11-bit identifier. That means you can go up to 2 to the power 11 number of devices. You can connect them. Nobody is a master, nobody is a slave. Everybody is connected together on this. So there are 2 lines, so everybody is connected there. That is the CAN architecture. So this is what you can see. There is a start of frame, 1 bit. Then there is a 11-bit identifier. Then there is a remote transmission request, 1 bit. Then there is a single. Please don't make your mic on, otherwise there is a reflection. Then there is a reserve bit. Then there is this DLC, tells you the data length, number of bytes you want to transmit. Then you transmit the number of bytes here. Then there is a cyclic redundancy check. It is 16-bit. There is a 16-bit number and there is a delimiter. Delimiter means there is some space. Then there is acknowledgement. Then there is end of data, that is end of frame. Then the last one is in 7-bit interframe space. So this is the standard CAN architecture with 11-bit identifier. But with an extended CAN, the number of bits becomes 29-bit. Everything remains same, but the identifier, that means you can go up to 2 to the power 29 number of devices. In a typical automotive, how many processors are there? Gaurav Govardhan, the video on typical automotive. I have told in the class how many processors will be there.
4. Sorry.
How many are there? Suppose I take off one Innova, or maybe you take one some luxury car which is worth 25 to 30 lakhs. How many processors will be there?
Around 6. You told 6, around 60 initially.
Around 30-40 will be there. So each processor has got different units, so they are connected in CAN. So therefore the number of address space becomes very large. So therefore you use extended CAN so that we can access at least 2 to the power 29 number of. Okay, so there is this SRR and ID. Additional is there. There is additional bit will be there. Before that, this is called SRR. SRR will be with this extended CAN. So substitute remote request, and R1 is this. This will be SRR will be in between. Instead of this RTR, there will be SRR. Okay, so now let's just recapitulate what. So this is the physical layer of the serial communication. There is the application layer where you are writing your application. For example, you are connecting a sensor. Let's consider have you seen wireless tire sensors? You can switch off, go around. Wireless tire sensor, pressure sensors. If you put it on the tire, it should give you pressure, because the pressure, if you don't monitor the pressure of the tires, there is a possibility that any time there may be some accident. So therefore, in very good vehicles, you should have a tire pressure monitor, which will come to the in the dashboard. But this is not there in normal automobiles because it is very difficult. Because the tire is rotating all the time. So how to put a pressure sensor? Suppose you connect a pressure sensor via IoT, etc. So you need to access it. So therefore, that access has to be done by some wireless then CAN port. CAN is a physical connection. So therefore tire is rotating. Therefore you have to have make arrangement. This product I don't know is manufactured in Indian market or not. I don't know, but it is a very good product. You can build on it. That is wireless tire pressure monitor, which will continuously feed the pressure value to your dashboard. If all the tires are monitored properly, you know what? Anything wrong with the tire, you can access. If the pressure is increasing because of heat or local heat or something like that, you can stop the vehicle. Otherwise, if there is a tire burst, then there is a possibility of losing balance and control. So that is the reason. So any sensor you put on automotive, it should be connected properly. So the most of the time it is connected through CAN bus. So it has got a data link layer and a physical layer. So this is how the CAN bus architecture looks like. And this is a physical thing, but there is a protocol. Protocol means what is the bit stream? So bit stream is, so there are two types of identifiers. One is a short identifier, which is the standard, which is 11-bit identifier, and this is the frame sequence. Starts of frame 11 at 11-bit identifier request to receive or transmit. Then IDE, what is the single identifier? Then R0, a result bit, DLC, that is data number of data bytes. Then the error connector code, then acknowledgement, end of frame. Then this IFS, that is the interframe space, which is about 7 bits. This is for a standard CAN format, and the extended CAN format is 29-bit identifier. So let's see how the CAN really arbitrates. Arbitrates means who decides. If there are two devices who want to communicate in this, CAN is connected like this. These are the CAN. So if you want to this is device 1 wants to communicate with device 2, and then device 3 also wants to connect to device 4, like that. If all are communicating, then what is the problem? What will happen? So in that case, there is something called an arbitration. Arbitration is deciding who will take over the bus. This arbitration is decided by something called a dominant bit. So this is the identifier who decides. In the identifier, the dominant bit will be deciding. So you can look at it. This is D, this is R. D for dominant, R for recessive. Can you see? This D for dominant, R for recessive. And the CAN high and CAN low is connected here. So whenever suppose this dominant 101 goes to the CAN bus, what is going to happen? So suppose this is 1, this is 0. So when you make it 0, this becomes 0. Automatically both of them will become 0. So once you make it 0, so 0 is dominant here, because if somebody is pulling down the CAN bus, so it will become 0. So everything becomes 0. So 0 turns out to be a dominant bit. Okay. So how to decide this? So this is how CAN bus is connected. So this is how you send the data, and this is how you receive the data. Okay. So let's see. So 0 is always known as dominant. Remember this. 1 is recessive. So 1 is recessive, 0 is dominant if you are sending. So let's see how it works. You can look at this. Suppose node C and node B both are transmitting. So who will win? Depending upon the dominant. Suppose C has leading zeros, then C will dominate. If B has not leading zeros, B will dominate. Because if there is 0, so this will listen to C. So therefore, any identifier which has got leading zeros, that becomes, the more number of zeros, the more dominant it is. So that means keeping the identifier with lots of zeros in the leading it becomes dominant. Okay, so that node will win over and it will transmit. Once the node wins over, it will send an address, and this address will be read by all the devices, and for which the address will be meant, this will listen to the device. So again, after some time, again the restart of the communication will start. Whoever sends a dominant set of bits, it will win. So that is how it is done, arbitration in CAN system. So these are the frames. For example, the message types could be the data frame, then the remote frame, then the error frame and overload frame. These are the frames which can be transmitted. So the data frame is the most common message type. Okay, it comprises of arbitration field, data field, etc. and CRC and the acknowledgement field. The remote frame is, so you are trying to communicate with another node. So first, it is the type of message exclusively marked on the remote frame with a recessive RTR bit, as you can see here. So how to identify the RTR bit is recessive means it will be 1. So 1 is for recessive, 0 for dominant. Remember this. So there is a error message frame. That means error frame is specially message that violates the formatting rules of CAN message. It is transmitted when a node detects an error message. So this is also error message and causes all other nodes in the network to send an error frame as well. That means whenever there is an error message, every other node sends error message. And there is the overload frame. So it is similar to error frame with regard to the format and transmitted node and becomes too busy. That means if you have got too many requests to that, it becomes a overload frame and there is a valid frame. So these are some of the frames, that's all. So this is the CAN bus architecture. As you can see, there are different nodes, there are n number of nodes. So it is connected by, so the CAN bus is terminated by 2 registers here, RL and RL here, and the communication takes place in between them. Now, can you tell me, just one guy, you can tell me before going to Jhansi Somya, why there are 2 registers connected at both the ends? Jhansi? Jhansi?
Sir, yes, sir.
Why there are 2 registers connected in both the ends? So these are CAN. So that means by, suppose this wants to transmit data, it has to start with a frame. So in the frame there is an identifier. The identifier decides who will dominate. So if there are too many zeros in the identifier, it will automatically dominate, leading zeros. Others will be disabled. So once it sends the data, one sends and others listen. So who will send depends upon the leading zeros. That is called dominant bit. So now tell me, that is fine, but why it should be open-ended? Why there is a resistance termination here? Think about it, Srikant. Mesala Srikant. Mesala Srikant, why there are 2 registers terminated? Come in video. Misala Srikant. Hello, Misala Srikant, are you there? Misala, are you there? पूजा इसको मैं ये करता मिसाला श्रीकांत को बड़ा क्रॉस लगाओ मिसाला श्रीकांत put a cross on मिसाला श्रीकांत okay
Yes, sir.
okay Maina Ghosh
Yes, sir.
क्यों 2 रजिस्टर क्यों लगाए दोनों साइड में?
So I think it is related to the signal quality. Like at the end of the line, if there will send a signal, there will be infinite impedance. So the signal cannot be transmitted then. If someone wants to send a message on the bus and
ये सही बोल रहे हो लेकिन गलत रीजन दे रहे हो. रजिस्टर नियम से ओपन रहेगा क्या फर्क पड़ता है? सिग्नल तब जाएगा तो क्या है? सिग्नल तो ये सारे कनेक्टेड है सर्किट में. अगर ये सेंड कर रहा है सब सारे कुछ सुन रहे हैं. सुनने मतलब सिग्नल तो टैप कर रहे हैं लेकिन तुम सिग्नल क्वालिटी के बारे में बोला क्यों बोला? व्हाई सिग्नल क्वालिटी? यू आर राइट but you are not defending it. The answer has to be defended. Why the signal quality will be wrong? Not good if there is no resistance. Think.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, is it related to the impedance matching?
Yes, excellent. But I have not asked you. You have answered this. Very good.
Sorry.
Who is answering this? I know
Sir,
this very familiar tone.
Sir, I'm Shohini.
Sohini. This is familiar tone. Okay. Sohini को एक अच्छा वाला स्टार दे दो. It is like that. It is signal quality. If you don't terminate it, if there are square waves like this you are sending, you know, there will be too much noise. There will be reflection. So because of that, if you terminate by resistance, the signal quality will improve. You can do an experiment. You take a twisted pair of wires like this. You know, at the other end you keep it open. At this end you put square wave. At the other end it will be too much distorted. But if you put a resistance in parallel, the distortion is gone. This is about the impedance matching. Okay, so signal quality will be maintained. Okay, thank you both. So, so let's see. So these are the. So when you design ECUs, you should have a CAN bus interface. So homework for you guys today. Homework, not assignment. Find out the DSPs are microcontrollers which has got CAN bus controller. Not your Arduino Uno doesn't have a CAN bus controller. So find out DSPs are something which has a CAN bus controller. If you want to have a startup, suppose you want to make ECUs for automotive, just the climate control. You know what is climate control? Chinmay Chakraborty, do you know what is climate control? Chinmay?
Yes, sir.
Where is your video? What is climate control? There is air conditioning, temperature control. What is climate control? What do you think? Think about it. Sumit Lodi? Yeah. Okay. So what do you think? What is climate control? So do you know what there is a comfort index associated with us? It is not dependent upon temperature only. It also depends upon the time of the day. 25 degree may be comfortable now, but in the evening it will become very cold. You got my point? So why it is so? Because there is a moisture difference. There is the illumination difference. Okay. So all these things matter. So when you have everything monitored together, that becomes a climate control. Anyway. So when you want to have something like a climate control ECU, you have to have CAN bus interface. Just like your Arduino Uno board doesn't have an USB interface, you have to have a special USB chip. You can switch off your video. So similarly, you can have. So you put a homework for yourself. I am putting one. That is to find out the chips, microcontrollers, etc., which has got a CAN bus controller. So let's see. All these things I'll share with you. Don't worry. So let's see a typical bit. You can see here. So you can see this. So this is dominant. You can see this is a dominant bit. So this is recessive, this is dominant. That means whenever this is high, CAN H and CAN L, there is a difference of voltage, it becomes dominant. Otherwise, it is recessive. So whenever it is this, so whenever you have leading zeros, that becomes recessive because this is pulled to this CAN bus and CAN high. If you see CAN transmitters are pulled high. If you look at the CAN transceivers, they are actually pulled to the high. You will see that. So whenever you put 0, that becomes actually high. Otherwise, it becomes 0. So this is how it is dominant and recessive. So this is generally a noisy CAN bus signal, which is CAN bus traffic. So node A and node B, node C, all of them wants to transmit. This is a very important figure. Node A wants to transmit, node B wants to transmit, node C. Who will win here? Sunit Kumar Singha, who will win? All three wants to transmit. Who will win? Tell.
The one with leading zeros.
Yes, which one? One having maximum dominant bit. So that the CAN bus will respond to that. As you can see, it is responding to port A. Then followed by it is again responding to port C. So once port A starts, it will wait for that many number of bits. Suppose the CAN is having 11-bit identifier, so number of bits are known. So it will wait till after that again it will sample the CAN bus. So CAN will be again the node B is doing it. So node B will be sending. Okay, because this has got more number of leading zeros. So like this, it will continue. So initially the identifier, 11-bit identifier will decide which one is actually sending the data. The identifier comes from the itself. So out of node A has identifier which is having maximum number of leading zeros. So it is going to occupy the CAN bus. So this is what you can see here. So TMS 320 LF2407 DSP. This has a CAN controller. TI has lots of DSPs which has CAN controllers. By the way, TI is famous for what? Yogesh Yadav. Yogesh ji.
Yes, sir.
TI किस लिए famous है?
Chips means ICs.
कौन सा IC? डिजिटल और एनालॉग?
Analog.
Yes, TI is basically actually famous for analog ICs. Though it makes DSPs, but DSPs more than DSPs, they are better known as analog high frequency ICs. So I think I have come to the end of the CAN bus. So I'm going to share this. Okay. I'm sharing the chat box. You guys can download it. All the things I'm sharing. Upload from computer. So this is serial communication. I just did serial communication. Please receive it, all of you. Then CAN. Please download it, because sometimes I delete this by inadvertently. I deleted earlier. So these two is yours. So this CAN bus you just have to read, because this Arduino Uno doesn't have the CAN bus, so I think we cannot do much about it. But you have to do work on two-wire interface. So you have to communicate between two ICs, let us say, two microcontrollers. So you can do so by two-wire interface. Suppose you have to transmit messages from one end to the other. Okay, by way of a clock. Okay, so now the question to the class. Suppose I want to transmit data from one remote location to another remote location by wireless means. Okay. So first of all, you have learned this RS-232. You have learned this USRT basically. You have learned this SPI, then I2C. These three you know already. So which one you will use out of that? You want to have wireless data transmission, digital data transmission. So Krishna Pasala, can you tell me which one you will use?
Maybe I2C.
I2C. So I2C में clock है, याद करो. तो clock कैसे transmit करो? So will you use I2C? Banoth Arun Naik. Banoth Arun Naik.
Yes, sir.
So video please. So which one you will use? I2C SPI or USRT? Where is your video?
Sir, wait a second.
क्या करना है? You want to transmit wireless transmission from here to here. One microcontroller to another microcontroller, maybe. That's it. तुमने कोई अटेंड अरे यूएसआरटी में क्या क्या रहता है? क्लॉक रहता है कि नहीं यूएसआरटी में? यूएसआरटी does it have a clock? अरे तुमने अटेंड ही नहीं किया. यूएसआरटी का फुल फॉर्म क्या है?
सर अमेन.
इसको एक क्रॉस दो तो बड़ा सा रेड क्रॉस दो. साही रोहित बटाला, please switch off your video. What is this USRT? Can you use USRT or I2C or SPI?
We can use USRT, sir. This does not have any clock.
इसमें क्या क्या है? मिनिमम USRT में कितना लाइन है?
to
क्या कर? Where is the
transmission
video?
and receive.
हाँ? तो वीडियो ऑफ क्यों किया है? क्यों ऑन करो? हाँ. USART में क्या है? Transmit.
And receive.
Okay, so then what? Suppose I have one here with transmit receive, and there is another with transmit receive. Okay, so they are supposed to be connected by wire. So suppose you connect them, you just separate them. Okay,
Yes.
and you want to make a wireless channel there. So what would you have in the middle? Rishabh Agrawal. Rishabh Agrawal.
Yes, sir.
तो बताओ, suppose he is saying USRT. Do you agree to him or not?
Yes, sir. I also think USRT will work in asynchronous mode.
Okay, good. So then how would you connect? So you have got a transmit data, there is a receive data. So this microcontroller, this is transmit receive, this is how you will connect cross connection. Ground will be connected. How is my ground? So they will be cross connected like this. Transmit इसका receive में जाएगा, इसका transmit इसका receive में जाएगा.
Yes,
तो फिर
sir.
ground बन गया, तो दोनों साइड में baud rate फिक्स किया, तो जब start करोगे ले लेगा. So this is what is your homework. All of you please listen. Pooja, please listen. So they have to in Proteus. They have to do Proteus. Homework is assignment for USRT. They have to transmit data using USRT from one microcontroller to another microcontroller. They have to transmit a message. Okay. ASCII message, that is IIT Kharagpur. But in case of when you do in the lab, you cannot have two microcontrollers. So you just one microcontroller. You will check in serial mode. Okay, so suppose you want to break the wire and make it wireless. What are the other things you need? That is the question. Think about it. Sunit Kumar Singha, please tell. You all switch off your video. Sunit Singha. Sunit Singha. Where is Sunit Singha? उसके क्रॉस मार्क दे दो. नहीं, सुनित है तो क्या है? बीच में क्या आएगा? दो वायर को काटना है, बीच में वायरलेस करना है, तो क्या आएगा? यहाँ पे डिजिटल सिग्नल है प्लस माइनस 12 वोल्ट और 0 to 5 वोल्ट. सो क्या करना है उसमें? वायरलेस कैसे करोगे? Who can answer? Just raise your hand. So you have to modulate this signal into analog, then make it high frequency. Okay, so this is your homework. You can just find out what to put inside. Suppose I want to use QAM. So you have to put a QAM. That means you have to take this signal and generate analog signal. For one analog signal, for 0 another analog signal. Maybe phase difference. So how to do that?
So using modem.
Yes, so modem you can use VCO also. For 0 you generate one frequency, for 1 you can generate another frequency. You can also use phase, VCO with phase difference. You can just have two phases. Or you can have, so you can use modems. You can have a modem chip. Then after that what? After that you have to increase the frequency. That means RF stage. You have to increase the frequency. So then you have an antenna. So these are the stages by means of which you can achieve wireless transmission. So you guys study LoRa. So in the LoRa long range radio transmission. So for today it is enough. So you guys, I'll create an assignment on the USB. I have told already it is there for the lab. In the lab you have got 3 assignments. So here for the USRT, so the USRT. So USRT assignment is to show in Proteus the communication between 2 microcontrollers. Just send IIT Kharagpur from one microcontroller, it will save IIT Kharagpur and another microcontroller. That's all. Okay. So this is how you have to achieve signal transmission. Any questions? Today, because of this, I could not actually, both the days class is destroyed a little bit. Any other question? So next class we will start with the ESB and error correcting codes. Then we will move to IoT. Then we follow. So you guys, next weekend, this week. Next weekend by Friday or Saturday, you try to finish that USRT assignment. Today we'll create that assignment. So it will close. Everything will close on Saturday evening. After that, you cannot submit. So try to finish submit, and then we'll take your demo. USRT. That means the Arduino 328. Sorry, the Atmega 328 will send some signal or some ASCII characters to another Atmega 328. So they will transmit and receive each other. So it will send it, and when it sends IIT Kharagpur, it can give you something else. So like this, they will exchange data. That you have to achieve by Proteus, this simulation software. But in the lab, you have to show this IIT Kharagpur because you have only one processor. You show that on the serial monitor. The ASCII character will come. So for the theory, the deadline is next weekend. Okay. Before Holi, you submit. Next weekend, around like 22 तारीख, 20 तारीख. Okay. But then followed by, we'll talk about SPI. I think we are done. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm here. You can ask questions.